All right, everybody, here we go. Good evening. Carson Meredith with you, back in the Wave Now studios. How you doing? Hope you've had a good Sunday, July 13th, and it certainly feels like July out there tonight. We've got storms on the way. In fact, quite a few of you are already seeing storms this evening that have really just flared up in the last hour or so right on top of the city. Now moving into the suburbs, but we've got a lot more storm action to our west that's just now moving into parts of southern Indiana. So a busy radar tonight, and let's just jump right in, shall we? And let's be clear out of the gate, there are no severe weather warnings at this time. We did have a few severe thunderstorm warnings, one near Evansville, actually a couple near Evansville earlier this afternoon. Had one or two severe thunderstorm warnings in western Kentucky as well, but nothing at this point. And the severe weather threat tonight is low. It's lower than it was yesterday. Could we still have some pockets of gusty wind? Yeah, absolutely. As I've been saying all weekend, it's July. You can never entirely rule out some gusty winds, but that risk is not as high as it was yesterday. What could be, or what I think will be the greater concern over the next 4 hours or so, is going to be heavy rain and any flooding that might develop, especially if you're seeing these initial storms right on top of wave country before the main show to our west starts to move in. If we get these repeated rounds of heavy rain, heavy thunderstorms, that might lead to some minor flooding issues, and by that I mean ponding on the roads, the low-lying spots, ponding water quite a bit. Not necessarily significant catastrophic flooding, nothing like that is expected tonight, but it's going to stay active, that is for sure. Before we dive into the radar, let's see who's watching tonight. Already 360 of you just on our social media platforms. We appreciate each and every one of you. Scott says hi. Melody says hello. Kathy says hey to everybody. Weather Geeks on. Hello. Albert, how you doing? Anita says hi. Hello. Crispy Brisket's here. Storm Chaser Jason, what's up? Tina says hi. Let's see. Michael's watching on Facebook as always, getting a good rain shower with some thunder in Shelby County. Yeah, we'll zoom in on that area first here in just a sec. Angela says hello. Lots of you tuning in tonight. All right, let's zoom in on the metro first, where we've had these downpours fire up. They started to get going just before we went on air for our 6 o'clock newscast, so about an hour and a half ago. And there's some pretty heavy rain, not necessarily in Louisville, but surrounding the city. 2 heavy thunderstorms, in fact, one of which is in northeastern Jefferson County, into southern Oldham County, and out near where Michael's at in northwestern Shelby County. So along the Snyder from 71 all the way up to Old Henry Road, out there near the Publix and the car dealerships and all that, seeing some very heavy rain. Norton Commons, Springhurst, areas along Westport Road, LaGrange Road as you head up towards Pee Wee Valley, Crestwood, Highway 22, Centerfield, lighter rain up in Buckner, but this storm is moving into Buckner, so heads up. A lot of lightning and heavy rain moving in further into Oldham County. LaGrange, same story. And some heavier rain stretches out towards Todd's Point as well. Good bit of lightning with this thunderstorm as well. There shouldn't be a ton of wind with it. Let me double check. No. Let's see. 22 miles an hour. So maybe a little bit of a gust, 20, 30 miles an hour. And again, the severe weather threat tonight's pretty low, but it's something we'll keep in the back of our minds, in addition to the heavy rain and flooding risks that we'll have to babysit as the night goes on as well. So pretty good thunderstorm moving through the northeastern suburbs, right up I-71. I can't stand driving 71 on a nice day. I don't want to be driving through this, so probably don't want to be driving on 71 between the Snyder and up to the Buckner exit at this point. The Snyder between 71 and Old Henry, like we talked about, probably not a good drive either. Further to the south in northern Bullock County, Another heavy thunderstorm, just a stone's throw from Shepherdsville. You can look across to the north of Shepherdsville and see a lot of heavy rain, basically right over Brooks. Let's see, there's Highway 44 right here. Goes out to Mount Washington, of course. So pretty heavy rain in that part of Bullitt County as well. Not quite as much lightning with that particular thunderstorm, but a few bolts being detected. Further to the east, you got more downpours. Southern Shelby County near the Harrisonville community, Little Mount, Taylorsville, and Spencer County, of course. Bloomfield seeing a pretty good downpour down in Nelson County, too. And Willisburg getting in on some rain at this hour as well. Further to the north, you can kind of see this broken band that's splitting wave country in half right now. Again, this is ahead of the main clusters of storms we're going to be keeping an eye on throughout the night. But Lawrence County, Jackson County's Indiana, I believe the Weather Service in Indianapolis is watching these storms for maybe a little wind. So Bedford up towards Medora, very heavy rain about to cross Highway 50 from this particular thunderstorm. And the Weather Service in Indianapolis is watching that storm for some 40-mile-per-hour gusts potentially. Nothing near severe limits at this time, but it looks as if quite a few of you may have some better luck with the rain lottery tonight. Some of you will still strike out, though. Just fair warning. Not everybody's going to see these storms tonight. But if you do, they will be heavy, and they could cause some minor flooding. So that's kind of what we're going to be watching through this evening. I'd say through about midnight, possibly 1 a.m. After that point, we transition to just more showers than anything else, which wouldn't be a big flooding risk. So further off to the west, zoom it out a little bit, you've got two basically storm clusters. And this one in southern Indiana is the one that we've been a little more concerned about today because the models, for one, they've done a nice job picking out that storm cluster, and that's really hard to do in July. And the track is pretty much what the models have suggested, right through southern Indiana. But you still see quite a bit of heavy rain with that cluster as it moves into Jasper, heading towards Bedford, Seymour, maybe up towards Paoli and Salem as well. So we'll have to watch that for heavy rain, maybe some minor flooding. Further to the south, it's kind of iffy if we see much of this action get into central Kentucky. I do think it's possible. I don't think it's probable because they have been weakening a bit, have those storms in western Kentucky over the last hour or so. Let's put radar into motion. And you can kind of see, especially down near Bowling Green. Let me zoom in on that. You can see how, as the rain has moved in, well, the loop's not working for me, of course. But while it's still very heavy rain, right over Bowling Green and up towards, let's see, up towards Greencastle there, that little town in Warren County, it's not quite as much heavy rain. So the storms further to the south are weakening a touch. We'll have to wait and see if they can hold on into our central Kentucky counties. But if they do, we would have more of a heavy rain and flooding concern even further south than what we have now. I still think the main issue tonight is going to be this cluster that's about to move into Jasper. As it rolls into southern Indiana, we may get a quick 1 to 2 inches of rain in a 3 or 4 hour window. So that might cause some minor flooding. But at the same time, some of these storms could weaken, and some of you don't see a drop. I know you guys get so frustrated with that this time of year because it's really tough to nail down when these storms are going to form and when they're going to weaken and where they're going to weaken. Models never really have a good handle on those kind of factors this time of year. So that makes the forecasts quite a bit more challenging as a result. But nonetheless, we'll be here all evening tracking these storms for you. Crispy, any tornado threat with this at all? virtually zero, like 0.5%. Half a percent, which means there's a 99.5% chance that there won't be a tornado. I'm not overly concerned about that tonight. Hey, we got a spammer. Great. Love it. Who else is watching? AJ's watching from Cedar Grove. Blue's here. Hope all's good on YouTube. Kelly's watching us up in North Vernon. Harold just had a shower in Valley Station. Yeah, there are a couple showers in that part of the city as well. Zoom back in. Oh yeah. Not a big shower, but you can see a couple of them right there in Valley Station. One out near Fairdale. Another little one about to move through PRP as well. So there's that. Let's see. Destiny says hi. Hope all's good. Michael's watching in Fern Creek. Nicole's watching him from Madison. Appreciate all you guys watching, even on a non-severe night. We still have over 600 of you on the socials. We appreciate it. Let's see. Kathy says, hey, son's on the way home from Alabama, running into rain in Huntsville. Well, of course. Living there for almost 5 years, you're basically going to have a chance for rain every single afternoon this time of year down in Huntsville. So, and that'll likely just be the issue, is heavy rain potentially. Let's see. Tracy's hearing some thunder where she's at up in Salem. A little rain now in Salem, it looks like. Amy just had that storm roll through Anchorage, excuse me. Yeah, it was a pretty good storm. It's still rolling through, about to move out of Jefferson County, cross completely into Oldham and Shelby County. But, yeah, quite a bit of very heavy rain. Let's put the radar in action. You can see how quickly that storm fired up. Tell you what, it's a good thing they got that golf tournament done when they did. I finished around 6:15, and 10 minutes later we had lightning near that golf course. So they got it done just in the nick of time, which I know Dusty Baker is very happy about, our sports anchor here at Wave, and Kendrick too. Let's see. Reagan's hoping to see some rain in J-Town tonight. I tell you what, it's crazy. The east part of Louisville, specifically J-Town, Middletown, and Douglas Hills, even Anchorage to an extent before this storm tonight. It's like there's a hole. It's like there's a rain hole right there in East Louisville where we haven't been able to get much rain in that part of the city, where other areas got drenched, especially yesterday with those storms that rolled through. Carmen, tornadoes, very, 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 very unlikely. Very unlikely. Not worried about that. Sean, of course, calling out some sort of obsession the spammers have with my live streams. I don't know why, but it is what it is. All right. Tommy says, what's it going to look like in Carrollton? Well, for our friends in Carrollton, you might have to keep an eye on this storm that's moving through Oldham County. Very heavy rain in Goshen, Skylight, LaGrange, Buckner, Crestwood, and it's just basically going up I-71. So if this storm can hold on, Tommy, if you're up in Carrollton, you might see this in the next 30 to 45 minutes. But again, as we've talked about, it's really hard to nail down exactly when these storms develop, but also when they might fizzle out. So main issue would be heavy rain for sure with that particular storm, not a ton of wind with it. Missy and Henry County, same story for you guys. This storm's about to move into Henry County. Missy, I'm not sure what part of the county you're in, but Smithfield and Eminence starting to see some of that rain. Newcastle will likely see some pretty heavy rain in the next 5 to 10 minutes with this storm rolling through. All right. So many comments. All right. And remember, I love y'all, but There's a ton of towns in wave country, so I can't do every single one. I'll pick out a few, but not all of them. Nothing personal. Let's see. All right. So, that's kind of where we are, guys. And, you know, this should be just a stormy Sunday night. Don't have to worry too much about severe weather, I don't think. The lightning count, by the way, you see at the top of the screen, it's at, what, 216 right now? That number has gone down quite a bit from about an hour ago. So that means the storms have weakened just a little bit. They're not going to completely go away, are these storms tonight, but I just don't see them necessarily having much severe potential with them. 1 or 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, that's about it. So, main issue is going to be heavy rain. And as long as these storms keep moving at the speed that they are, that should help to limit the flood potential. And again, they might completely weaken. I don't think they will, but we'll see. It's hard to figure out this time of year how long these storms will last. Let's see. Reagan says, hope you have a good evening. You too, Reagan. You too. Baby sister Amber asked if I'll say hi, Amber. Well, hi, Amber. How are you? Hope all's well. Thanks for watching. All right. So let's give you a big picture view, because a lot of you have been asking, is this ever going to end? Is this hot, muggy, stormy pattern just going to stop? And unfortunately, the answer is no, at least for the next 7 days. And the part of the reason why is this frontal boundary that is just off to our north. I think it's more between Indianapolis and Louisville, but you get the idea. That front is basically acting like train tracks. It allows these little subtle pieces of energy in the atmosphere to kind of ride along that front like trains on a track. And each of those little pieces of energy sets off showers and storms, kind of like what we're seeing tonight, like what we saw last night. And as long as that front is still nearby, guys, we got to keep these rain and storm chances around every single day. Now, the good news is no day is a total washout at this stage of the game. But any storms that do develop are going to be pretty heavy, and at least will carry a small risk for some gusty wind as well. So you got this front that's still hanging around. And then way up here, there's another front coming in out of Canada tonight in the northern plains, up in the Dakotas and Minnesota. And it's going to get here by the end of the week. And we were hoping that front would be stronger, which would mean it would actually get here and get out of here by next weekend. Well, looking over the data today, really throughout the weekend, but today kind of confirmed it for me. It looks like this second front I'm showing you up in Minnesota is going to do the exact same thing that our current frontal boundary is doing, which is get to wave country and then decide it wants to hang around like the guy that nobody wants to be at the party. Or at least he stays around the party too long. So as a result, I have had to bump up those storm chances for next weekend. What looked like a decent weekend no longer looks to be that way next weekend, I'm afraid. That's the live view of downtown, of course, from our Jeffersonville Skytrack camera. You can see the dark clouds. Obviously, this is pointing south and southwest. You can see those dark clouds from the storms. That's likely from the storm north of Shepherdsville. And very hit and miss. It's been very hit and miss so far here in the city. And really, most of those storms are lifting north and east. We'll just have to watch that one in Bullitt County. 87, our current temperature, feels like 93. Took a while for the sun to come out with that front nearby this morning, kind of gave us a deck of stratus clouds. But those faded away quickly, and we surged into the 90s again before all these storms got going. So here's Futurecast. And this is the HRRR, High Resolution Rapid Refresh. And I think it's doing a decent job kind of playing out tonight. Maybe an hour behind or so, but no big deal. You can see those storms to the north and to the south moving in through 8, 9 o'clock. Could still see some pretty heavy rain here in the city during the 9, 10 o'clock hour. But as the night goes on, we lose that heat of the day that these storms are feeding on. And we slowly see that transition from heavier storms to just steadier rain. Now, the big question is going to be, how quickly does that transition occur? If it takes a while for these storms to wind down, and it takes a while for the rainfall rates to drop, that flooding risk will climb later this evening. But if these storms can weaken fast enough, hopefully the flooding threat can be kept in check. And even then, you notice by 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, most of us, especially along and north of the Ohio River, are just dealing with some light rain. So if you're from LaGrange, Louisville, down to Tell City, points north, you're going to have some scattered showers throughout the night, but they won't be nearly as heavy as the storms we're dealing with as we speak. So that's the situation for tonight. And even heading into the Monday morning rush hour, there may still be some light showers hanging around, which will obviously keep the roads wet, might reduce visibility. So just to be on the safe side, I would just go ahead and plan on an extra 5, maybe 10 minutes getting to work tomorrow. Doesn't look like we'll have heavy rain for the morning commute, but we may have some lingering showers. So that's just something to watch. All right, for your Monday, same old, unfortunately. There will not be as many storms tomorrow as there were today, or as there are today. You know, we've been able to drop those rain chances bit by bit the last few days. And tomorrow, I do think a lot of you stay completely dry. We'll start off with those showers early in the day like I just talked about. Then we should see a little bit of a break late morning before we heat back up to near 90. And that's when at least a few more downpours could fire up again. So here's Futurecast for tomorrow. I just showed you this view around 7 o'clock in the morning. Light showers for the rush hour. We'll watch it closely. I think more than anything else, so it just keep the roads damp. Then you see that small break late morning, perhaps through around lunchtime. And then by 3 or 4 o'clock, it looks like our central Kentucky counties are going to have a better shot at seeing scattered showers and storms tomorrow. And even then, it's only a 30% chance during the afternoon for those spotty downpours. You can see that pretty well here. Further to the north in southern Indiana, you guys might not see a ton of rain tomorrow, just maybe a stray shower, that's it. And then as we get past sunset tomorrow night, that front is still nearby, so you obviously can't completely get rid of the rain chance. So we'll keep a few showers around. Into Monday night, and into Tuesday, and into Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday, and now Saturday, and now next Sunday. Every single day. As far as any organized severe weather, I'm not seeing anything that screams that right now. But I will tell you, as this second front moves in by the end of next week, or this upcoming week, that might give us a slightly better chance for gusty winds again, kind of like yesterday. So we'll have to watch that by the end of the week. Thursday night, Friday kind of has my attention for that wind risk. Not a major threat right now, it's just something to watch. But again, that front, it just hangs around. Honestly, the way the pattern might orient itself, there's a potential we get into northwest flow next weekend, which would mean these bigger storm clusters that are more intense and pose more of a wind threat. So if you're looking for a break in the storm action, or at least the storm chances, there's really not one anytime soon, unfortunately. It keeps getting delayed, does that break in the storm action. And that's not surprising. A lot of models get too excited about clearing us out. especially in the summer, where that just doesn't really happen very often, unfortunately. So all this rain's going to add up. In addition to that risk for 1 to maybe 3 inches of rain tonight, we may tack on another 1 to 3 inches of rain through the rest of the week. A lot of you need it, but keep in mind that's an average. Some of you will have horrible, horrible luck on the rain lottery this week, while some of you may get really, really lucky and see multiple rounds of heavy rain. It's going to be very hit and miss in that rain coverage throughout the week. Here comes the 10-day, and then I'll go back and show radar before we wrap up tonight. Thanks to the 800 of you now watching on our social platforms. Yeah, it's copy and paste, guys. I hate to say it that way. I hope I'm not boring you all, but you know, it's just the way it is this time of year. Highs in the low to perhaps mid-90s this week. Most of you, rather, will stay in the low 90s all week, but you guys know how the heat island works here in Louisville. That's why we got 94 Wednesday and Thursday in particular. As I mentioned, there's still hope that we may get a break in the storm action by the end of sometime in late July. We were hopeful that break would start next weekend. Now it looks like it might not be until next week. And it might be beyond that. It might be in August. It might be in October. Who knows at this point? No, I'm kidding. But for the foreseeable future, we're going to have this very stagnant, warm, muggy weather pattern with us, I'm afraid. Just keep the umbrella handy. Don't cancel any plans. Keep the Wave Weather app handy, too. You can get those heavy rain and lightning alerts. And once I sign off tonight, as the night goes on, if there's any storms I feel like I need to send notifications to, you'll get those as the evening goes on as well. All right. I'll let you digest that 10-day, and I'll look through the comments again, because there's a lot of them, it appears. Let's see, we'll look at some big picture questions before we go back to radar. Let's see, here's some good food for thought. Outside of the heat wave last month, summer hasn't been too hot in Oz opinion on YouTube. Also not as muggy, so I'm a fan of that. That's fair. It's been muggy. It hasn't been, totally, completely swampy or miserable, right? There's been some breaks in that humidity, but you may have seen it on our social media pages earlier today. Right now, we are currently in the middle of the second warmest summer on record in Louisville. The average temperature has been a little over 81 degrees. That factors in highs, lows, and everything in between. So, yeah, it has been a very warm summer, but it hasn't necessarily been a blistering hot summer. We've had hot days, but it hasn't been, upper 90s every single day. We haven't had any 100-degree days yet. It's just been very persistently hot, and obviously that trend's going to continue for a while. Let's see. Austin says the thunder's so loud tonight. Yeah, it's kind of a rolling thunder, right? Let's see. Any significant severe weather threats over the next couple of weeks? Not necessarily, Braden. It would be more of those pulse severe storms where, you get a quick burst of, kind of like yesterday, where you get a quick burst of 40, 50 mile per hour wind, knocks down trees, maybe a couple power lines. But it would be on a smaller scale than what we saw yesterday. In other words, it would be more random storms as opposed to a big cluster. I do have my eye on Thursday and Friday, though, as that next front moves in. Might give the atmosphere a little more forcing to set off more widespread wind potential, similar to what we had yesterday. So, long story short, I don't see huge severe weather outbreaks anytime soon, but there's going to be at least that chance for 1 or 2 severe storms every day, and maybe by the end of the week, a little more organized severe threat. We'll see. No alert days at this stage of the game right now. What dew point is considered muggy for this area? So, if you're just talking about muggy, I would say dew point's around 60. And by muggy, I mean you just feel it a little bit. Like, it's not a major problem, but it just feels muggy. You can sense it. Once you see that dew point get to around 65, that's when it starts to wear on you. And then when the dew point's in the 70s, it's just terrible. It's awful. It's the swamp. It's air you can wear. Instant sweat, smack you in the face when you walk outside. That's when it's miserable, is when you have those dew points in the 70s. Good question. I had to delete a comment. I'm not sure what the heck the guy was talking about. Let's see. All right. I think we're good, guys. James on YouTube, is the tornado risk pretty much zero till next year? Not at all. Not until next year. Our peak tornado season is behind us for this year. But we do have tornadoes from time to time in the summer. We did 4th of July last year. 4th of July last year, we had a EF1 move through western parts of Louisville. So yeah, we can always have tornadoes any time of year. It's just we have most of them in the spring. Fall is kind of a secondary season for tornadoes too. So we would have to watch that time of year for maybe a few severe storms and perhaps a couple tornadoes. Of course, that horrible night in December of 2021, 2 weeks before Christmas, an EF4 tornado did all that horrific damage in western Kentucky. So tornadoes can happen any time of year. Anytime. All right. Let me go back to radar one more time, and then I'll wrap up our chat since there's no... I'll jinx myself here, but it's fine. Since there's no warnings in effect at the moment, we'll wrap up our chat for now. Easy for me to say. Still watching these thunderstorms roll in. They are continuing to weaken. And I tell you what, what I don't like, if you're wanting more rain, we're almost kind of developing a gap here between the northern storm cluster and the southern one. So if you live in this gap between, let's say, Corydon, Brandenburg, Hardinsburg, Shepherdsville, Louisville, Shelbyville, I'm not sure how much rain you're going to get the rest of the night. There will be some, yes, but I'm not sure if you have to worry about very heavy rain. Looks pretty scattered, if you ask me, based looking at the radar trends right now. But don't let your guard down. We still have that risk for heavy thunderstorms that cause some ponding on the roads through the evening, through about midnight tonight. We still have that risk for perhaps 1 or 2 gusty winds, 1 or 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. I can't rule it out. But yeah, for most of you, it's just going to be a little bit stormy tonight. Speaking of, the SkyTrack camera that I have behind me, getting a little dark. There you go. That is from the storm that is in the south end of Louisville, since we're pointing south and west. Got a few downpours, actually, that I will zoom into as we come back to the map. Heavy rain over Mount Washington. Heavy rain over Hillview. Right along Preston Highway. Heavy downpour near Iroquois Park. Southern Parkway, Taylor Boulevard, New Cut Road. And a tinier downpour out there off of, I guess that'd be close to Cane Run Road, Greenwood Road, PRP, and Shively. And all of these are slowly but surely drifting to the north and east. So, Okolona, Fern Creek, J-Town, Linden, Middletown, Highlands, downtown, Louisville. Head inside, but maybe keep your fingers crossed that you get some of these heavy downpours as they start to roll in. Let's check the velocity, make sure there's no funny business going on. I don't see any. Maybe a little wind signature down here with the storm in Mount Washington. No rotation. But there might be, right along Highway 44, if you're coming into Mount Washington, there might be a tiny little burst of wind around 30 miles an hour here. Let's see. Yeah, about 30 miles an hour. So, again, some of these storms could have gusty winds through the night. We'll just have to make sure that they don't go severe. They don't have 60-mile-an-hour winds. Go back to the normal radar, and again, it's just kind of a smattering of those scattered storms that'll be with us through this evening. Through about midnight tonight is when the rain will be at its heaviest with these storms. And then past midnight, we're not going to get rid of the rain chances, but that rain will be lighter than it is as we speak. So, few areas to watch, one of which we just talked about in the south end of Louisville. Heavy rain moving through Oldham County and into Henry County up near Eminence and Newcastle. Additional heavy storms across our southern Indiana counties. About to move into Orange County. If you know anybody at Patoka, give them a call. Make sure they're inside. Paoli, time to head inside. Salem, got a heavy downpour nearby. But more than anything else, guys, these are just good old-fashioned summer storms. And by and large, I expect that trend to continue throughout the night. A few more comments, and then we'll wrap it up here, guys. Let's see. Prelude on Facebook. Dew points in the 70s, such a heavy feeling air. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Very heavy feeling. Steve, thanks for keeping us informed. Of course, that's what we're here for. Whether it's an alert day or not, if the radar is active, we're going to be here watching it. Noodlehead77 on YouTube. Love the tie. Thank you. It's one of my favorites. One of the 105, as I discovered last week, my tie count is now up to. It kind of has more of a spring vibe to it, but I just felt like wearing it because why not? Change it up. Let's see. All right. Gary, very good point. Steady rain makes for excellent sleeping weather. Yeah, it does. And if you're lucky enough to have some lingering showers through the night, you might get a good night's sleep as we head into this new work week. All right, friends, that's going to do it for now. If it becomes necessary, I will hop back on our streaming platforms on Wave Now, Wave Weather Now, and all of our social media platforms too. So wherever you're watching us now, if it's necessary, I'll hop back on wherever you're watching right now. But for the moment, nothing severe. Just heavy rain. That's it. But again, if we start to see more severe weather, like we have multiple warnings at a time, or we're starting to get flooding reports, and if I'm able to, I'll hop back on and give you an update. If not, make sure you tune into Wave News at 11 tonight if you're still awake on the old school TV. We'll have a radar update for you then. Look ahead to the rest of the work week. And if not, sleep well. And Brian will be back with Storm Talk starting Monday. And Storm Talk will be busy, I am sure. All right, guys. Have a good rest of your evening. Remember, when thunder roars, go indoors. And if needed, I'll be back with another update. But right now, it's just babysitting the radar. We'll see you later, guys. Take care.